My family chose my brother over me at Christmas. So I disappeared forever and built a better life without them. The funny thing is they did not believe I would actually leave. They thought I was being dramatic. They thought I would cool off. They thought I would come back by New Year's. Apologize. Smile. Pretend nothing happened. Because that was what I had always done. I was the quiet son. The dependable son. The son who swallowed every insult because keeping peace mattered more than being respected. At least that was who I used to be. But 3 years ago on Christmas night something inside me finally broke. And this time I did not fix it. My name is Ethan Carter. I was 33 years old when it happened. I had spent my entire life being compared to my younger brother Mason. Mason was the golden child. The charming one. The funny one, the one my parents bragged about at every family gathering. If Mason failed, someone else was to blame. If Mason lied, he was under pressure. If Mason stole an opportunity, he was being ambitious. If Mason hurt someone, they were too sensitive. And me, I was the responsible one. The one expected to understand. To forgive. To help. To stay quiet. Growing up, I heard the same sentence so many times that it became part of my childhood. Be patient with your brother. When Mason broke my things, be patient. When Mason borrowed money and never paid it back, be patient. When Mason took credit for my ideas, be patient. When Mason humiliated me in front of people, be patient. My parents never said the other sentence. The one I needed to hear. Mason, stop hurting your brother. Never. Not once. By the time I became an adult, I had built a life around being useful. I worked hard. Saved money. Bought a small townhouse outside Chicago. Started a side business, helping small construction firms manage project budgets. It was not glamorous. But it was mine. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was building something no one could take from me. Then Mason did what Mason always did. He took interest. At first he mocked the business. Called it boring. Said spreadsheets and contractor budgets would never make real money. Then when he realized I was getting clients, his tone changed. He started asking questions. How did I price my services? Who were my clients? What software did I use? How did I pitch myself? I answered because I was stupid enough to still think brothers should help each other. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was telling him about my biggest client. A regional remodeling company that was expanding into 3 states. They needed help organizing job costs, timelines, vendor payments, and forecasting. It was the kind of contract that could change everything for me. If I landed it, my side business could become my full-time career. For 2 months I worked on the proposal. Nights. Weekends. Early mornings before my regular job. I built charts. Cost models. Timeline systems. Risk reports. A full operational plan. I was proud of it. More proud than I had been of anything in years. 3 days before Christmas I was supposed to present it. Then the company canceled. No explanation. Just a short email. Thank you for your time, but we have decided to move forward with another consultant. I was disappointed. But that happens in business. You lose bids. You move on. At least that is what I thought. Then Christmas came. My parents hosted dinner every year. Same house. Same decorations. Same forced smiles. 30 relatives packed into the dining room and living room. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, children running around with toys. The smell of turkey, cinnamon, and pine candles filling the house. I almost did not go that year. I was tired. Embarrassed about losing the contract. And honestly, I did not want to spend another holiday listening to my parents praise Mason for doing the bare minimum. But my mother called that morning. Ethan, do not make me beg. It is Christmas. Family should be together. So I went. I even brought dessert. Because that was who I was. The son who still showed up. When I arrived, Mason was already there. Standing in the living room like a celebrity. Expensive watch. New coat. New smile. Everyone gathered around him. My mother was glowing. My father had his hand on Mason's shoulder, looking proud in a way he never looked at me. I set the dessert on the kitchen counter. Nobody noticed. Then my Aunt Caroline saw me. Ethan, Merry Christmas. I smiled. Merry Christmas. She hugged me and lowered her voice. Big night for Mason, huh? I frowned. What do you mean? She looked surprised. You do not know. Before I could answer, my father clapped his hands. Everyone, before dinner, Mason has some news. The room quieted. Mason stepped forward, grinning, confident, the golden child preparing to shine. I did not want to make a big deal out of it, he said, clearly wanting to make a big deal out of it, but I just landed a major consulting contract with Palmer Ridge Renovations. My stomach dropped. Palmer Ridge. My client. My proposal. My opportunity. Mason continued. They loved my operational strategy, especially the cost tracking system and vendor timeline model. The room erupted in applause. My mother hugged him. My father laughed proudly. My cousins congratulated him. I stood frozen by the kitchen entrance. The words did not fully process at first. Cost tracking system. Vendor timeline model. Those were mine. My exact terms. My structure. My months of work. Mason did not just land the client. He had stolen my proposal. My father raised his glass. To Mason. Proof that when you take initiative, good things happen. People laughed and cheered. My mother looked at me across the room. For 1 second our eyes met. She knew. Maybe not everything. But she knew enough. And she looked away. That hurt more than Mason's announcement. Dinner began 20 minutes later. I sat near the end of the table, quiet, barely touching my food. Mason sat beside my father. The place of honor. The entire meal became a celebration of him. His success. His future. His ambition. My mother kept saying I always knew Mason had that entrepreneurial spark. My father said some people wait for opportunities. Mason creates them. I stared at my plate. Trying to stay calm. Trying not to ruin Christmas. Trying to be patient. Then my uncle asked, Ethan, are not you in the same line of work? The table got quiet. Mason smirked. A little. Ethan does more of the back office stuff. Back office stuff. My own idea. My own work. Reduced to back office stuff. I looked at him. You mean the proposal you stole? The room went silent. Forks stopped moving. My mother's face tightened instantly. Ethan. I did not look at her. I kept my eyes on Mason. You used my files. Mason laughed. A fake laugh. The kind people use when they are trying to make someone look crazy. Come on, man. Do not do this. Did you use my files? He leaned back. We talked about ideas. That is not stealing. I felt my pulse rising. I spent 2 months building that proposal. And maybe I improved it. A few people gasped. My father slammed his fork down. Enough. I turned to him. Enough. Not at Christmas. I laughed quietly. Of course. Not at Christmas. He can steal from me at Christmas, but I cannot say it. My mother whispered, you are embarrassing us. Something in me cracked. Me. My older sister Ashley spoke up from across the table. Ethan, maybe this is not the time. I stared at her. When is the time? She looked uncomfortable. Privately. Privately. That word. Always privately. My pain had to be private. Mason's success got applause. My humiliation had to be quiet. Mason sighed dramatically. Look, I am sorry you lost the contract, but do not take it out on me because I actually closed the deal. There it was. The knife. Twisted with a smile. My father pointed at me. You need to congratulate your brother. The room went dead silent. I looked at my father. What? He succeeded. Be mature enough to accept that. My mother nodded. Do not let jealousy ruin Christmas. Jealousy. They called it jealousy. Not theft. Not betrayal. Jealousy. I looked around the table. 30 faces. Some shocked. Some uncomfortable. Some pretending to be interested in their plates. Nobody defended me. Nobody asked Mason to prove he had not stolen anything. Nobody asked if I was okay. My own mother reached across the table and touched Mason's arm, as if he was the one being hurt. Then my father said the sentence that ended everything. Why cannot you be more like your brother? The room went silent again. Then someone laughed. A small laugh. Nervous maybe. But it spread. A cousin chuckled. My uncle coughed into his napkin. Mason looked down smiling, and my mother did not stop it. She did not defend me. She did not say that was too far. She just looked at me with disappointment, like I had ruined her perfect Christmas. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. Every eye turned to me. My mother frowned. Where are you going? I folded my napkin. Placed it beside my plate. Then I looked at Mason. At my father. At my mother. At the family who had watched me get humiliated and decided silence was easier. I am done. My father narrowed his eyes. Sit down. No. His face hardened. Do not make a scene. I smiled. You already did. Mason scoffed. Here we go. I looked at him. No, Mason. You go. He blinked. What? You go be the son they want. The genius. The success story. The golden child. Take the applause. Take the contract. Take whatever you think you won. My voice stayed calm. But do not ever call me your brother again. My mother gasped. Ethan. I looked at her. You chose him. Her eyes widened. No one is choosing anyone. You chose him the moment you knew he stole from me and still praised him. She started crying. Ethan, it is Christmas. I nodded. Exactly. I will remember that. Then I walked out. Nobody followed me. Not my mother, not my father. Not Ashley. Nobody. I stepped into the cold night. Snow was falling lightly. Christmas lights glowed across the neighborhood. Behind me through the windows I could see my family sitting around the table. Warm. Bright. Together, without me. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. By the time I reached home, my phone was buzzing. My mother. My father. Ashley. Mason. I did not answer. I opened my laptop instead, changed every password, removed Mason's access from every shared file, backed up every document. Then I sent one email to Palmer Ridge Renovations. Subject line: Notice of intellectual property concern. I attached timestamps, original drafts, file history, metadata, emails proving I had built the proposal months before Mason submitted it. I did not ask for the contract back. I did not beg. I simply wrote I believe materials from my original proposal were submitted by another party without permission. I am providing documentation for your records. Then I clicked send. After that I blocked my entire family. All of them. Mother, father, Mason, Ashley, cousins who laughed, aunts who stayed silent, everyone. By midnight my phone was quiet, and for the first time in my life so was my heart. Not peaceful. Not yet. But quiet. The next morning my mother came to my townhouse. I saw her through the door camera. She wore the same red coat from Christmas dinner. Her eyes were swollen. She knocked for 10 minutes. Ethan, please open the door. I did not. Then my father arrived. He looked angry. Not sorry. Angry. He knocked hard. Enough. Open this door. I stood in the hallway watching the camera feed. My mother cried. My father paced. Finally, Mason showed up. That almost made me laugh. He stood behind them, hands in his pockets, looking annoyed. Like my pain was an inconvenience. My mother said, we just want to talk. I pressed the speaker button. No. They all looked up at the camera. My father said, do not be childish. I smiled. You came to my house to insult me. Mason stepped forward. Look, man. I did not steal anything. Then you will not mind Palmer Ridge reviewing the documentation I sent. His face changed. Only for a second, but I saw it. Fear. My father looked at him. What documentation? Mason recovered quickly. He is bluffing. I said nothing. My mother looked into the camera. Ethan. Why would you do that? You could ruin his opportunity. And there it was. My proof. She did not ask if Mason stole from me. She asked why I might ruin his opportunity. I leaned closer to the speaker. Merry Christmas. Then I turned it off. They stayed another 20 minutes, then left. 2 days later Palmer Ridge called me. The director sounded uncomfortable. Careful. Professional. They had reviewed my documentation. They confirmed that Mason's proposal contained substantial material identical to my earlier drafts. They terminated discussions with him. Then they asked if I would be willing to present my original proposal again. I said yes. 1 week later I got the contract. Not because Mason handed it to me. Not because my family helped. Because the work was mine. When Mason found out, he exploded. He called me from a new number. I answered once. Just once. You snake, he shouted. I held the phone away from my ear. Careful. You sound jealous. You ruined me. No. I documented you. Mom is devastated. Then comfort her. Dad says you are dead to him. I laughed softly. Tell him I said that makes two of us. Then I hung up. Blocked the number. And began building my new life. The Palmer Ridge contract changed everything. Within 6 months I left my regular job. Within a year my business had 5 full-time clients. Within 18 months I hired 2 employees. By the second Christmas after I walked away I was making more money than I ever had. But money was not the best part. Peace was. No holiday guilt. No forced dinners. No comparisons. No Mason. No parents asking me to be patient. No Ashley telling me I was too sensitive. Just quiet mornings. Work I loved. Friends I chose. And a life built on my own terms. I moved to Denver at the beginning of the 3rd year. The business had grown enough that I could work from anywhere. So I bought a small house with mountain views. Nothing huge. But mine. I spent mornings drinking coffee on the porch. Evenings walking trails. Weekends building furniture in my garage. For the first time I was not waiting for someone to choose me. I had chosen myself. Then 3 years after that Christmas dinner my past found my new address. It was December again. Snow on the ground. Lights on porches. The same season that had once felt like a wound. I had just finished wrapping a gift for my assistant's son when someone knocked on my door. I checked the camera. Mason. He looked terrible. Not just tired, broken. His expensive clothes were gone. His face was thinner. His eyes looked hollow. For a moment, I thought about ignoring him. Then I opened the door. Not because I cared, because I wanted to see what consequence looked like up close. Mason stared at me. Ethan. I said nothing. He swallowed. Can I come in? No. His mouth tightened. It is freezing. Then talk fast. He looked down. I need help. Of course he did. I leaned against the doorframe. What happened? He laughed once. Bitter. Everything. I waited. He rubbed his hands together. After Palmer Ridge dropped me, word spread. I could not get consulting work. Dad helped me start a small contracting business, but it went bad. How bad? He looked away. Debt. How much? Almost 180,000. I whistled softly. He flinched. Mom and Dad put their savings into it. Of course they did. They also took out a second mortgage. Of course they did. And now, his voice cracked. The house is at risk. There it was. The real reason. Not guilt. Not apology. Emergency. Mason looked at me with the same eyes he used when we were kids after breaking something of mine. Waiting for me to fix it. Mom said you might help. I laughed. I could not stop myself. Mom said that. He nodded. She said you are successful now. I stepped closer. Interesting. Did she mention that I became successful after leaving all of you? His face tightened. Ethan, please. This is serious. It was serious when you stole from me. I made a mistake. No. You made a choice. He swallowed. I was jealous. That surprised me. Not because I did not know. Because he finally said it. I know, I replied. His eyes filled with tears. I hated that you were building something. I hated that you did not need anyone. I hated that Mom and Dad were starting to respect you. I stared at him. So you took it. He nodded. I thought if I landed the contract first, everyone would see me as the successful one again. And they did. His tears fell. For a while, I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just distance. Like watching a stranger confess to a crime from years ago. Mason stepped closer. I need $50,000. There it was. The number. The price of family. I smiled slowly. No. His face fell. Just like that. Just like that. I said I was sorry. No. You explained why you did it. What is the difference? An apology is about the person you hurt. An explanation is still about you. He looked stunned. I continued. You did not come here because you care about me. You came because Mom and Dad are losing the house after funding your failure. His jaw clenched. That is our childhood home. It stopped being my home the night they chose you. He looked at me with panic. Ethan, please. They will lose everything. I leaned closer. Then tell them to be patient. His face went pale. He remembered. Of course he remembered. All those years, all those times I was told to be patient while he got away with everything. He whispered, that is cruel. No, Mason. Cruel was stealing my work and smiling while Dad toasted you for it. He looked away. Cruel was letting them laugh at me. His shoulders slumped. Cruel was showing up 3 years later and still thinking my purpose is to save you. I reached for the door. He panicked. Wait. Mom wants to talk to you. No. Please. No. He pulled out his phone anyway. Before I could close the door, my mother's voice came through on speaker. Ethan. For 3 years I had wondered what hearing her voice would do to me. Would I feel sadness? Anger? Longing? I felt nothing. Mom, I said. She started crying immediately. Oh honey. I miss you so much. I looked at Mason. He stared at the floor. Do you? Of course I do. Then why are you calling through Mason's phone after 3 years? Silence. Then she whispered, we need help. There it was. The truth in 4 words. Not we miss you. Not we were wrong. We need help. I nodded slowly. No. She cried harder. Please. Your father is not well. The stress is killing him. That is unfortunate. Ethan. My voice stayed calm. You chose Mason. Let Mason save you. He cannot. I know. The silence that followed was heavy. Then my father came on the line. His voice was older. Rougher. But still sharp. You think this is funny? No. You think you are better than us because you have money now? No. Then help your family. I looked out at the snow. At my quiet street. At the home I built without them. No. My father breathed hard. After everything we did for you. I almost laughed. What exactly did you do for me? We raised you. You raised me to accept less. My mother sobbed in the background. My father snapped, do not talk to me like that. And there it was. The old command. The old tone. The expectation that I would shrink. But I did not shrink anymore. You have no power here. He went silent. I continued. 3 years ago you humiliated me in front of the entire family. You told me to be more like Mason. You laughed when I left. You protected the son who stole from me. My voice lowered. Now you want the son you rejected to rescue the son you chose. No one spoke. Then my mother whispered, we made mistakes. No. You made a decision. Ethan, please. I looked at Mason. Then at the phone. Sell the house. My mother gasped. No. Downsize. My father cursed. Get jobs. Call the relatives who laughed. Ask Mason to fix it. Mason looked like he might collapse. But do not call me again. My mother sobbed. You are really abandoning us. I smiled sadly. No. I am accepting the abandonment you started. Then I hung up. Mason stared at me. You have become cold. I shook my head. No. I became honest. He wiped his face. I do not know what to do. For once figure it out without me. Then I closed the door, locked it, and walked away. That night I slept better than I had in years. Not because I enjoyed their suffering. I did not. But because I had finally passed the test. The old Ethan would have paid. The old Ethan would have emptied his savings to stop his mother from crying. The old Ethan would have told himself that being useful was the same thing as being loved. But that Ethan was gone. 3 weeks later Ashley emailed me. I almost deleted it. Then I opened it. The subject line said I am sorry. The message was short. She wrote, I should have defended you that Christmas. I knew Mason stole from you. I knew Mom and Dad were wrong. But I stayed quiet because it was easier. I am ashamed of that. I do not expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I know the truth. For a long time I stared at the screen. Then I replied with one sentence. Thank you for finally saying it. That was all. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Just acknowledgement. Sometimes that is enough. 2 months later my cousin told me my parents sold the house. They moved into a small rental. Mason moved with them. His business closed. The golden child had finally become exactly what everyone had protected him from becoming. Responsible for his own consequences. At first I expected to feel satisfaction. I did not. I just felt free. That was better. The next Christmas I did not spend the holiday alone. My assistant invited me to her family's dinner. I almost said no. Old habits. Old wounds. But I went. Her family was loud. Messy, kind. No one compared anyone. No one used jokes as knives. No one laughed when someone was hurting. At dinner her father asked about my business. I answered carefully. Still not used to people being genuinely interested. He listened, then said you built something impressive. 5 simple words. And for some reason they hit me harder than all the insults ever had. Because they were clean. No comparison. No hidden agenda. No Mason. Just recognition. Later that night I drove home through falling snow. Christmas lights blurred past my windshield. For the first time in years Christmas did not hurt. It was just a night. A peaceful one. I parked in my driveway. Walked inside. Turned on the fireplace. Made coffee. And sat by the window watching snow cover the mountains. My phone buzzed once. A message from Ashley. Merry Christmas, Ethan. I looked at it for a long time. Then replied Merry Christmas. That was the only connection I allowed. Small. Careful. On my terms. A year after Mason came to my door, Palmer Ridge renewed their contract again. My company doubled in size. I hired a general manager. Moved into a larger office. Started mentoring young project managers who reminded me of myself. Quiet people. Capable people. People who were used to being overlooked. I taught them something it took me too long to learn. Never let someone call your silence maturity when what they really want is your submission. Never let family use love as a leash. And never stay at a table where your humiliation is part of the entertainment. People ask if I regret walking out that Christmas. I do not. I regret not walking out sooner. I regret all the years I spent trying to earn fairness from people who had already chosen favorites. I regret believing patience would eventually become respect. It does not. Sometimes patience just teaches people how much disrespect you will tolerate. That Christmas my family chose my brother over me. They laughed when I left. They thought I would come back. They thought I needed them. But what they did not understand was simple. When I walked out of that house, I did not lose my family. I lost the people who kept me from becoming myself. I disappeared forever. And while they protected Mason from consequences, I built a life beyond their reach. A better life. A peaceful life. A life where no one compares me to the brother who stole from me. A life where my work belongs to me. A life where my home is safe. A life where Christmas feels quiet instead of cruel. Mason got the applause that night. He got the toast. He got the table. He got the family. And for a while maybe he thought he had won, but I got something better. I got out, and I have never looked back.